This video is brought to you on behalf of DEFRA and Natural England. The Cross Compliance Advice Programme provides advice to farmers, their advisors and agricultural contractors on what the existing, revised and any new SMRs and GAERC requirements are and what they mean in terms of required farm management. We hold events such as farm walks and demonstrations and workshops across each of the regions of England. We also have a helpline that is open weekdays from 9 AM to 5 PM. Call 0845 345 1302. Further advice and information is available at www.crosscompliance.org.uk, where you can also book on to local advice events. This video explains the purpose and benefits of completing the Soil Protection Review, your requirements under cross compliance, and the basic approach you should take to complete the Soil Protection Review. Completing an SPR by the 31st of December of each year is a requirement for all farmers who receive payments under the Single Payment Scheme, as well as certain schemes under the RPDE. Completing the SPR meets the first of several good agricultural and environmental conditions standards. If you don't, you may be liable for deductions to your SPS payment. It can be done by filling in the hard copy template or online via DEFRA's Whole Farm Approach website. On the 1st of January 2010, DEFRA released a revised Soil Protection Review. This version supersedes the previous version of the SPR, although you must continue to take the soil protection measures which you identified in the 2009 SPR continuation sheet. Published alongside this is the new edition of the Single Payment Scheme Cross-Compliance Guidance for Soil Management 2010. This provides you with guidance on how to manage your soils. You should have both of these. If not, contact DEFRA RPA Publications or visit www.crosscompliance.org.uk and download them. Details will be shown at the end of this video.
There are three main parts of the Soil Protection Review. Step 1 on page 10, which is actually indicating the potential issues that may occur on a farm. They're real basic broad questions such as, have you got poaching from livestock? And the farmer should identify which ones are important to him. The second risk assessment is to be able to do a soil texturing on the fields as a whole. And you can see here that DEFRA is asking to identify the individual soil type and from the soil type the potential risk. So the soil types we've got here then relate to a risk matrix, which is basically in the soil guidance notes, and you can see that the overall risk along the bottom here actually does show that for sandy soils it's a high risk, for medium soils it's a moderate risk, heavy soil it's a high risk. So therefore each field has got to be assessed for its soil type and soil texture. To do that we have to get to a bit of soil from the fields, and each field's got to be done, remember, and it's basically a bit of soil no more than a golf ball size. Then we need to make sure we turn the lump of soil we've got into putty type consistency. You do that by adding a bit of water to it, and just a dribble of water onto a bit of soil is normally enough. Roll it into a ball, and the first question now to follow the chart is it predominantly rough and gritty? So you feel it to feel if you can feel the sand within it. Normally speaking you can't, so the best option then is to actually see if it will roll into a sausage. And by rolling into a sausage we've ended up showing there's enough clay in here so that it's not predominantly rough and gritty. A really important feature, because that means this soil is definitely not light. So it's now going to be either heavy or medium. The next question it asks us is does it form an easy to form ball? To do that you take your ball and see if it will deform. This one clearly doesn't, it stays solid and therefore is not easily deformed. Next question is, does it take a polish? And by doing that we take 10 rubs to see if we can actually polish up, and the answer is it isn't, it's just sticking. So therefore it becomes a medium soil. That's all we really need to know, but if we want to be a bit more precise we can actually then get a tiny bit and find out which of the medium soils it is. To do that we just basically rub a little bit between the finger and thumb and see if you can feel it being soapy, gritty or neither of the two. This one actually is neither of the two and therefore is a clay loam, which is a standard medium soil. Once we've identified the individual texture of the fields, we now need to identify where they fit into this matrix. Most of the fields in the UK are 80% mediums or moderate fields, and therefore are faced with basically being a medium risk situation. However, these need to be upgraded for high risk situations such as runoff onto roads or runoff into triple SIs, etc. Now we've identified the risks of each field, then what we have to do now is obviously put actions in place to moderate the risk in the field. To do that, we need to fill in a book, and this is a sort of double-page spread here. What we need to do is identify how many options I need to take. So, for instance, here on our serials page, it says there's a number 1 and 2 there, indicating that we need to do 2 options for the high-risk fields and 1 option for the medium-risk fields. You choose options based on the problems that are being faced by the farmer. And so here we have options which would help reduce compaction here. If that was the problem, we'd enter that reference number over here. So up until now, we've basically, all I've shown you in the book has got to be completed by December the 31st this coming year. But the waterlogging pages need to be completed as of now. So inspection process will be on these particular pages from January the 1st, 2010. In that situation, the date it occurs has to be recorded, and that's shown in the book here, and then at some point later on in the season when it's remedied, you just mark it's been remedied. So that's the book done. The only thing we need to think about is the voluntary page at the end of the book, which is about buffer strips. Well worth reading through, ticking the appropriate boxes, because it will guide you about the use of buffer strips and whether they're suitable on your farm.
The new Soil Protection Review asks you to identify and record potential soil problems, including those you are already aware of and are addressing, assess and record soil types and degradation risks, select and carry out appropriate measures to prevent and/or remediate these issues. Review these risks and measures each year and reconsider as appropriate. Record access to waterlogged soil and remediate as necessary. Select appropriate post-harvest measures. It is important to understand that the SPR, as well as being a requirement under cross-compliance, can help you to improve yield and production on your farm through better soil management. The Cross Compliance Advice Programme delivered to you on behalf of Natural England.